So it's like if people think you're like really weird in a way that's gross and creepy, they're not going to buy something off of you. I just had lunch with a friend of mine who we used to be business partners, and he had to leave the region. He moved back to be where his family is. And we were just talking about, he's queer also, you know, and it's like, it's a lot harder to date when you're not in the Bay Area. Like, there's just less people to date, like way less. Yeah, so I have a couple of friends, queer women, who bought a piece of land out near Folsom. And I was talking with one of them. She's in, I think, her early 50s. And I was saying how, yeah, you know, I'd love to move to the countryside. I just, you know, there's no women. I don't know who I would date. And she was like, you know, I used to think the same thing, but now that I'm in my 50s, I just don't care. And I was like, oh, no, that's not, I'm hoping that's not the solution, you know. It's just like, wait till your sex drive kind of dies down. There's sort of, like, I work in a lot of different mediums. And so it's perpetually hard for me to define myself as an artist for the purposes of marketing. I mean, as a person, I'm fine with it, you know, but then you want to build relationships with people who say, if you're a painter, then, you know, people who have art galleries, right? But it's like, then if you're a fashion designer, you don't really need art galleries as much as you need other fashion people. And so you have to kind of pick a realm to be in a little bit. When I started doing fashion, it's interesting because it's like, you know, when you start out, you don't have any resources. So you're just trying to figure out how to do it. And I know for some people who are starting a business, their approach is like they have a day job for many years and they kind of build up what they're doing. And I just kind of dove right in. But so I got a lot of encouragement from my friends to ask for help, you know, and that was really hard for me at first to learn how to do that. Some people have an easy time doing that, but it was hard for me. But then over time, it's like, I mean, to do a fashion show, you need like 10 people just to, you know, your models. It's like, it just would add up so quickly if you're really compensating people fully. So having your friends who are interested in coming to the party for free and, you know, maybe getting some of your clothes, really makes it even possible to do the work. I mean, it's just clothes, right? Like, I think that there's this funny thing because queer people are just like everyone else, but also we're not, you know? A lot of the ways that we're not are sort of applied, you know? It's like society rejects you and then you build a culture around that. Dress is a form of communication, so I think that for queer people, there's like definitely a lot more invested in presentation because that's how you make yourself visible to your community. But I definitely have a ton of straight customers, and I haven't really thought of myself as a queer designer at first. It's just over time in the Bay Area, the clients who I keep, you know, the ones who keep coming back a lot of times are queer. It's interesting. There's definitely an art to business, right? I have a friend who does he does like business training. He calls it the art of the hustle, and it's very creative. We think about creativity as this sort of separated thing that you would only use for art making, but it's definitely for everything. And there's a tension for me because I can get creative on like event production and business making, or I can get creative on art making. But if it's the same part of your brain, there's only so much juice you have to do anything with. So it's kind of a trade-off. Like, if my business is going good, I'm actually, like, the art I'm making is maybe less good. Like, I've been in business for myself for over a decade or whatever, and it's like, man, a lot has shifted in that decade. So I feel like I'm doing more pickup work now than before, and, like, actually, like, my artwork is less lucrative than it was 5 years ago. Part of that is just where I'm at, like, moving to Oakland from San Francisco. It's a different city. It really reset me in a lot of ways. But I do I do some carpentry from time to time. I just do different various tasks. Like I help my friends run their small businesses sometimes. Like I put labels on bottles for my friend the other day. You know, it was like I was just putting stickers on things. When you're running a small business, you kind of need to cultivate these different types of relationships with people. So it's like, you know, sometimes you're helping someone, you're their customer. Sometimes you're helping them, you're their employee. And there's definitely like a lot of people who come through the Bay Area. You know, they come here for work at a certain era of their life, you know, like the young and free time for themselves, and then they like go away again. So you're kind of always like, there's this churn, and you're kind of always like keeping an eye out for the people who are going to be around again. Because it's you know, it's like there's only so much you can nurture relationships with people who are transient. I don't know, I go back and forth on it, you know, like I'm not from the region, and so the incredible pressures in the region right now definitely, like everyone, are leaving me to think about what it would be like if I left. And it's a constant question for me, and for like I have a lot of friends that were born here and they have family here, and it's a really different question for them than for me, because I don't have any blood family in the region, although there's so many people in the area that it does feel like I have family here. So it's, I don't know, it's an interesting question, but if I could find somewhere where I could afford to live, I would definitely consider moving there, because I don't feel like I can afford to live right now. You know, like, I mean, I'm doing pickup work here and there and whatever, but, you know, there's this sense of sort of slippage. Like, I don't feel like I'm quite making ends meet.